I shape my razor from its long form to the sling blade. The dread monster rises in the belly of me. Laughter spews from between my teeth. I would die for the truth that all men are created equal. But in the kingdom of death, amidst ramparts of bodies and wind, all of screams, there is a king, and his name is not Loon. It is Reaper. G'day BookTube, you're here with Nick the Renaissance Bookman, and I'm excited because I am back to do another progressive reading vlog of my favourite story of all time. Yes, I'm talking about the Red Rising series by the formidable Pierce Brown. I am up to the 6th book, the penultimate book in that series, Lightbringer. I'm super excited for this one. I have already completed a progressive reading vlog of Iron Gold and of Dark Age. If you haven't checked those out, I would encourage you to go and look at those. You don't have to watch all, 1 hour and 47 minutes that I did for Dark Age, but at a minimum, use the timestamps in those videos to go and look at the summaries that I did for those. Because Pierce Brown has taken a very different approach to this second trilogy in comparison to the first. Obviously, we've had the introduction of multi-POV, seeing things downstream from Darrow and everything that he was trying to achieve. But we also had some issues with that. We had some pacing issues in Iron Gold in particular. So I talk about that. And I also then talk about what I think he got really right from a structure point of view in Dark Age. So whilst you're there looking at those summaries, I also jump into a bunch of theories. I love theories, and Pierce Brown writes in a way that is really easy for us to project ahead, to forecast what is to come. He uses really blunt instruments like Osgard's prophecy, but he also uses breadcrumbs and Easter eggs to great effect. He also loves symmetry. So some of the theories that I've thrown out have already come true. Lilith and the Night Lily, that is one that I forecasted a long time before it came to pass. I took a victory lap when that one happened. Others, okay, it was a bit of an airball. Certain things did not come true that I thought were like a lay down misère. I thought these things were going to be happening. But then there are others still that are up in the air. We don't yet know. I think they could still come true in Lightbringer, or they could be a Red God storyline. So go check those 2 videos out if you haven't already, in particular those sections of the video. But if it isn't going to be obvious enough, this will have spoilers all over it. Spoiler! This will be full of spoilers. If you are watching this video, I expect that you've already read the first 5 and you don't mind me talking about those. And then I'm going to progressively ruin the 6. I'm going to talk about what I'm experiencing, the highlights of different things, the strengths of different characters. I'm going to give progressive updates on different theories that I've got as I go through Lightbringer. So I said that I like theories. So let's explore some of the theories that I have for Lightbringer. The first one that I've got is around Atlas. Atlas to me is quite the enigma. Of every character that we've met thus far, I still can't quite place. Is he for Atalantia? Is he for Lysander? Or is he actually for someone else? A party that we haven't yet been introduced to? Is he just for himself and whatever it is that he stands for? I'm not quite sure where we stand with Atlas. Atlas appears to have aligned himself with Lysander. Ajax, his son, appears to still align himself with Atalantia. So I think Ajax will discover that his father is actually undercutting Atalantia and is doing things in favor of Lysander. And so I think son will murder father, crossing off one of the things from Osgard's prophecy. I think Ajax will end up killing Atlas. That's not my only Ajax theory. I also think that the humble Storm Knight Diomedes will kill the arrogant Storm Knight Ajax. So I think that's a nice one. That works well. That one makes me feel good because if you had to do a word count on all the different words that I used in my Dark Age reading vlog, honor was probably the number one. I said the word honor more than I said Reaper, right? So honor is a theme that I can get behind. It's a characteristic that I really, really enjoy. So it's why I kind of like the Rim Golds. It's why I like Cassius and the honor. You still have your honor, sir. And why I quite like Diomedes. So I'm looking forward to Diomedes killing the petulant child that is Ajax. Talking of breadcrumbs, Mickey. Mickey was breadcrumbed constantly over the last 2 books, but we haven't seen the bloke. We know that he did his best work with Screwface. We know that he helped out with Liam's eye, and that is it. Mustang also said, where is Mickey? I think I know who he's working for, but that's all we got at that point in time. So I think there's going to be a lovely twist that comes in, and Mickey is going to be the architect behind that. And it'll be awesome for us because he's on Team Republic. So it'll be a Republic-flavored twist. And I'm looking forward to that. Where all hope is lost, no, Mickey will come with the light. He will bring us the light. Thank you, Mickey. I think Pax and Electra, our 2 spunky 10, 11, 12, however old they are now, our two spunky 10-year-olds will kill the other 10-year-old. The Abomination. Adris, not the human, the Abomination. Remember, we dehumanize our enemies wherever possible, but I think our two spunky 10-year-olds will kill the evil Abomination. I'm here for that one. Let's go, Ratchet Face. This one's going to be a bit of a long run-up, but again, it was a breadcrumb moment, and it was between Volga and Lyria when they were writing to each other on their torn shirts using blood and fingernails. Like, what a beautiful image that is, right at home in Dark Age, where Volga said that she was born in a laboratory. She is a test tube baby, daughter of Ragnar, and her heart, where it should be on the left side, it is not. They put it on the right for whatever reason. Brown doesn't just throw these tidbits out without circling back on them. So what I think is going to happen here, Volsing, whose name that I absolutely love to say, Volsing will get into a fight with Volga, and he will stab her in the left side of her chest. She will fall to the ground. He will turn around, arm splayed, victorious, claiming his battle fame. She will then get up, rip the knife, blade, razor, whatever it is, out of her chest, and then kill Volsing. Wow, the hubris. Because he thinks he's got her. Nay. Test tube babies for the win was the phrase that I used last time, and it's going to come true again. Volga will survive being stabbed in the left side, because her heart is actually on the right. Now, I teased it before. Dark Age was dark. It was grim. Ulysses, the Day of Red Doves. But most of all in this one, no honor, no time. This was a line in the sand moment for Lysander, where he chose expediency. He elected to be pragmatic, where Mustang and Darrow and all others are really honorable. And I think this will be not just a moment in time, but will be a permanent pivot, a permanent change of direction for Lysander. Lysander is building his entire campaign around bringing back the Iron Gold to the past, where they can shepherd the people, a la Selenius. However, I think he's going to end up being the opposite of what he is fighting for. And I think Lysander is honorable enough that in Red God, he may even take his own life, because he understands that he has become the thing that he's fighting against. There's a little one throwing that one out into the future.
Interesting theory.
So I think that's what's going to happen. Our boys, Mustang, well, boys, you understand what I'm saying there. Our team, how about I go for that one, more inclusive? Mustang, Darrow, Cassius, and I even going to throw Diomedes over there as well. These guys are honor bound, whereas I think Lysander has taken a step to the left and will continue down this really repugnant path. Now, that's what I've got for some theories. These next ones, they're not theories exactly, but just expectations. I expect Victra to be back to her golden sun best, and she's going to take some big scalps along with her, because she is a formidable woman. I would not like to meet her one-on-one in a dark alley. I think Lyria will get an opportunity to go and upgrade the parasite that's leeching on her brain, and that will make her quite a formidable force. Now, there's been some, like, the names that Brown uses for all of his books are quite prophetic. Red God has got me interested. We all assume it's going to be Darrow. Could it be Lyria? Could the parasite make her into this godlike... Okay, it's not going to be the case, but nonetheless, Lyria will get an upgrade. Rona's coming back. We didn't see her die on Mercury, so she is not dead. Brown has taught us that. If you didn't see it, it didn't happen. Rona will come back. Now, I teased it before as well. There was so much death in Dark Age. The Death Hat tracker. I had to introduce a whole tracker for the number of people that Pierce Brown was killing. I think I'm going to have to get the Death Hat tracker out again in this book, but I don't think it's going to have as many names on it. I don't think we can keep killing off people at the same rate that we did in Dark Age and still have Red God to come. However, what we're going to lose in quantity, we will make up in quality. I think one of the big four are not going to make it through to Red God. So I'm talking about Cassius. I'm talking about Sevro. I'm talking about Victra. And I'm talking about Mustang. One of these four, people that we love, are not coming with us to Red God. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm probably going to cry like a little schoolchild. I've come to be attached to these four. I don't want to see them go. But enough of that doom and gloom. I'm so excited to read Lightbringer. This has been so much fun. I'm going to fly my way through this one. Come and join me on this reading journey and let me know how much you're loving this. Until next time, ciao. I look back at my friends, my soldiers with whom I've suffered so much, and raise my fist. Hail, Libertas. Only my echo answers. Ouch. That's cold. And it appears some of the shine from Darrow is really starting to wear off. G'day Booktuber, here with Nick, the Renaissance Bookman. I'm up to my very first reading update. I'm 116 pages in, just finished part 1 of Lightbringer, the epic 6th book in the Red Rising series. And what I will say is this book has started off very much a slower paced book in comparison to the all-out action, testosterone-fueled violence that we had. That was the Battle of Mercury at the start of Dark Age. But just because there's no violence as such, there's been some, like we've had sprinklings of it there as well, like Venus, for example. But despite there not being all-out action like it was on the Battle of Mercury, doesn't mean we haven't learnt anything. Something that I really enjoyed so far was getting to see the comparison that we saw between Darrow and Lysander, both of which had to show real moral courage and call one of their real key second lieutenants into line, one of their key second echelon leaders into line, because they were undermining the overall mission. Cicero was taking unnecessary risks at a time when Lysander could ill afford to lose a key powerful ally. And then Screwface, he was just all melancholy, undermining the mission, eating morale from the inside with how despondent that he was being. Now, that one, I've experienced that in my own workplace, where you'll find someone who is really respected by the whole team, and they start undermining decisions that have been made by upper levels of leadership, explaining why it's a bad decision, why we shouldn't be doing it, how it's not going to work, and they're going to hang us out to dry. And it's like, no, dude, like you can't do that, because people now that sit below you that have no idea whether or not it's a good decision or not, or what's going on, now all they hear and think is that this is a bad decision and we shouldn't be getting after this. And this actually reminds me so much of Colin Powell, the 4-star Army general who was the 65th Secretary of State or something like that of the United States. And his book on leadership, he had 13 tenets of leadership. And one of the ones that really resonated with me is this idea of loyalty. He says that when we are debating an issue, loyalty means giving me your honest opinion, whether you think I'll like it or not. Disagreement at this stage stimulates me. But once a decision has been made, the debate ends. From that point on, loyalty means executing the decision as if it was your own. And I love this. As soon as that door opens, you go out and execute the decision as if it was yours. Nobody else ever needs to know that you had dissenting thoughts or disagreements when it came to what the actual decision was. I need you to execute it as if it's your own. Screwface, I need you to remain positive. I need you to execute my mission as if it was your own. It doesn't matter if you're despondent and downcast. You haven't got the option to do that because you are a leader. So I liked that. I liked seeing both Darrow and Lysander have to intervene and do that, like one chapter apart from each other. So I liked that Brown drawing that comparison between the two and the style of leadership that they're trying to do. Bit of emotional intelligence from both of them as well, which we haven't seen from Sevro in the past. One of my biggest criticisms of Sevro is lack of emotional intelligence. But not everything that Darrow did was intelligent. Of course, that was going to be a trap, mate. You don't get to go into Apple's lair and just steal the jewel of his crown. That was never going to take place. But of course, Sevro was going to escape. He's obviously bit Apollonius on the face and escaped. And I spent like a solid 5 minutes once that became apparent, visualizing the sort of chaos that he would have brought hiding in the shadows of Venus and the dockyards there. That would have been really fun. You know, when you're reading and you start daydreaming, but your eyes keep going from line to line. I got 3 pages on and then I suddenly went, hang on a second, I have no idea what I've just been reading, because I was visualizing the level of anarchy and chaos that Sevro would create. If I could put one person behind enemy lines, it absolutely would be Sevro. That is his modus operandi. That's where he excels. Not in this one-on-one duel sort of combat that we saw Apollonius and Darrow participate in. This was peak Sevro in terms of what he is capable of doing. So the visuals of that was really quite cool. We've now also been introduced to another side character that I think is going to stick around, and we're going to see a bunch of them. They're going to interact with our main protagonist a bit. And this is the pink Ari. I'll go with Ari. We'll go with that. Now, this is the same pink, importantly. This is the same pink from Iron Gold that sits at the center of my Diomedes will end up flipping and fighting for the low colors theory. This is the one where his eyes lingered on her for a little bit too long when she left the room. She also had that flooding of relief when Lysander elected to not Hulk smash. And now it makes sense. We now understand why the flooding of relief came in her eyes. I was actually really quite surprised that given Darrow's love and adoration for Lorne throughout books 2 and 3, and all the pithy one-liners that Lorne has come up with in his time, that Darrow didn't immediately gravitate towards this philosophy book. Now, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Darrow actually turn to religion here. People, it's a real common trope. People that have gone through hell and survived either turn to religion and find God, or they turn to these pithy esoteric one-liners that they can sort of hang a whole bunch of meaning into. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see Darrow actually really gravitate towards this going forward. But with Ari, we get the introduction of Athena. The goddess of wisdom and military strategy has been playing the long game, sitting there idle in the shadows, ready to roll on out. Now, I did think, and this is, again, back to Diomedes, I was thinking that Brown had to intervene, like he did with Lyria, so that Lyria could have action and violence come to her pages as well, so that she wasn't just a passive participant. He had to intervene to level her up with the parasite. Now, I thought he was going to have to do that as well, because things were starting to really stack up against the Republic. All of the core golds and rim golds were all starting to align themselves here to be against the Republic. And I was like, well, it feels like one enemy too many. And so I thought he was going to intervene, and it was going to see Diomedes take a whole bunch of the rim and flip across to be fighting for the Republic. Now, I think that's less likely. The way that Brown has intervened now is through the introduction of the daughters of Ares. And I'm here for this. Wouldn't it be fun to see like an entire army of Victras and Seraphinas just getting after it? I would enjoy this, and I would really like to see them cut Apollonius down. That would be enjoyable for me. I don't mind this. I kind of get it. We lost a little bit when the Sons of Ares kind of ceased to exist, and they just became the people and the Vox Populi. That's probably a disservice to the Vox or disservice to the Sons, really. But either way, I can already see where this is going, and I'm looking forward to Sevro and Darrow doing their best Aragorn impersonation, flanking the enemy at a key pivotal moment with a ghost army to come in and win the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. Now, Pierce Brown has obviously been watching my movies. He's been watching my reviews because we've got carved, mutated animals, or at least we're getting more and more of them. Her eagle hisses at me. It's an attack bird, I've noticed. Metal reinforced talons. Lovely. Now, it's not mutated wolves with peeler scarred tracking knives for their hands, but it's a start. We're getting to see some more and more mutated animals. I just want to see them have a little bit more role in the conflict going forward. Now over to Lysander. The political maneuvering has been rife in Lysander's storyline. But I'll be honest, I'm enamored by Atlas. He is someone that there is a heck of a lot of mystery around, and I'm really enjoying trying to figure out where he sits in this big puzzle. Because at this stage, I'm a bit confused. At the end of Dark Age, I thought it was not so subtle at all that Atlas was starting to align himself with Lysander. He, within the space of 5 sentences, decided that, hey, Lysander, you've got 5 days, hoping that you can undermine what Atalante is trying to achieve with her chemical weapons. Now you've been successful. I'm going to ride behind you in the chariot as well, all the way up to meet Atalantia. And some of the comments that he was making to him, I was like, oh, okay, that's going to be Atlas's role. He's going to align himself with Lysander here. Yet at the start of Lightbringer, he's back to being the #1 attack dog and henchman for Atalantia. Maybe he still is that role. It's just not as clear-cut and as obvious as what I thought it was going to be. There's still a lot of mystery here. I think back all the way, back into Dark Age, where the conversation between Ephraim and Xenophon, where that was a slightly different version of events in comparison to what Killendor, or however I say her name, the Love Knight, what her take on in terms of why Atlas was forced out to the Kuiper Belt, out to the Rim. There's differences in the storyline there, and then some of the comments that Atlas makes to Diomedes and Lysander. There's more involved in this character, and I'm really enjoying it. I love the fear that he invokes. Never has there been a better named knight, the Fear Knight. So I'm enjoying this, and I'm still not sure who he's fighting for. Is he fighting for himself, Atalantia, Lysander? This will be interesting. I'm enjoying Atlas and everything we get to experience with him. Now, Death Hat Tracker, like I said, this has been a bit of a subdued start. This feels more like a crouching tiger ready to explode. The Death Hat Tracker has only got one name, Tharsis. Tharsis is about the only name that we can add in Part 1 to the Death Hat Tracker. And even then, we don't even really like Tharsis. He was just Apollonius's other brother, Tactus's other brother, not called Apollonius. So, Tharsis, you've made it to the Death Hat Tracker in a really gruesome way, for what it's worth. Fear Knight doing some really good work. I am concerned we're going to add a whole bunch more names and ones that we love to this list going forward. But at this point in time, I'm okay. Just one name to the list. Hopefully, we're not adding more. I'm enjoying this so far. Part 1's done, 116 pages. It's slower pace, but I feel like we're a lot of potential energy at this stage. Less kinetic, more potential. So the dust cover is off. I've got my protective cover back out. Let's go and figure out what Part 2 has in store. Until next time, ciao. I push with Niobe through the mob to see Victra striding in, looking like hell warmed over. Thraxa is beside her. Victra's eyes are bloodshot and feral when she sees me. She calls out, "My sovereign, I bring tidings from Sector 1. And gifts. Cicero al votum." She thrusts forward Cicero on the end of a leash and holds up a rotted head. And Ajax al grimace. The rest of him couldn't make it. G'day, BookTube. You're back with Nick. I'm 297 pages in now. I've just finished part 2. I said that the start of Lightbringer was a crouching tiger. It was potential energy. Well, things have just got kinetic. And as I forecasted, it was Mustang at the center of the push. This was not a battle in which Darrow was center of stage. This was Mustang's opportunity to lead the fight, take the fight to the enemy, and it was worth it. It was thoroughly enjoyable. Voldir is back into the fight, and Ajax Algrimus, the arrogant, petulant Storm Knight, is dead. I didn't think it was going to be true. More on that in a second. As we came through this was a roller coaster of emotions for me. I thought Pierce Brown had gotten soft on us. And what I'm talking about Kwisatz. Pierce Brown taught us through Dark Age that we should expect characters that we love, Alexander, characters that we love, we should expect them to die and to die frequently. And so when Kwisatz went, I was like, this one hurts. I like the Telemanus family. The Telemanus family is quite clearly a favorite for most of us. You got Pax, you got Daxo, you got Kwisatz, and Thraxa. And when I thought it was clear that Kwisatz was now dead, I was like, it's disappointing. We're only going to now hear through Thraxa someone chanting Telemanus as they charge on into a fight. But no, 10 pages later, Kwisatz is alive again. I was like, you're getting soft on us now, Brown. That level of plot armor is normally reserved for Darrow and Sevro only. But apparently, Kwisatz is loved enough, and so he had to come back. Unlucky Death Hat. You do not get to pluck Kwisatz's name out of the Death Hat. But there are a few others that you get to pluck. And it was because of this Kwisatz flip-flop that I was like, Ajax is not dead. Like, he did not die in this moment. He is going to come back in a big way. And so it wasn't until Victra appeared holding onto his head, like just holding his head, screaming, "Worthy." She didn't do that, but that would have been fun. Holding onto Ajax's head, that I was like, he did die. Ajax had his name plucked out of the Death Hat. Add his name to the Death Hat tracker. There was someone else that died with him, but more on that in just a second. But before I get into the other person that died in that moment, I want to talk about Victra. So I have long respected Victra. I think Victra is amazing. For example, she would undoubtedly defeat Sevro in one-on-one combat. That's how highly I rate Victra. Ajax, however, the 50 pages leading up to Ajax's death, on 2 or even 3 occasions, we had people comparing Ajax to Aerea. Now, I haven't racked and stacked every single fighter thus far or Razor Master from the Red Rising universe. I will do that. I promise you I will do that at some point in time. But if I did at this moment, I think Aerea would be the number 1 seed. And here we are having Ajax compared to Aerea. And not just compared, there was one example where they were like, you are in fact superior to Aerea. I'm just not convinced that Victra at the 10 seed or thereabouts and Thraxa at the 13 seed could defeat someone who has just been compared to Aerea, the number 1 seed. I don't know. Brown, you knew I was going to analyze this to the nth degree. Why give us these comparisons if you didn't want me to do this exact analysis and figure this out? Have I been underselling Victra? Perhaps I have. Or maybe we were just overinflating, but a hyperbole when it came to Ajax. I'm not sure. This is interesting. This is an interesting data point when I make my big list. Perhaps I had Victra too low. She's or rather too high, however you want to phrase that. Maybe she's not the number 10 seed. Maybe she's the number 6 seed. There are just too many good fighters. Aerea, Lorne, Cassius, Ragnar, Darrow, Diomedes, Ajax, Atlas, Victra, like Alexander. There are so many powerful. Apollonius. Did I mention Apollonius? I'm just not sure how Victra is going to squeeze her way into number 6, where suddenly 6 and 13 makes sense to defeat Ajax, who has just been compared to Aerea. Anyway, enough on that. To be honest, I'm probably just upset that Ajax dying destroys 2 of my theories, and 2 of my theories that I was the most confident in. I was so confident that Diomedes, the humble Storm Knight, was going to defeat Ajax, the arrogant Storm Knight. That hasn't come true. And I was also super confident that one of Osgard's prophecies, son, murder, father, was going to be Ajax killing Atlas. And that hasn't come true either. Now I've got nothing for that list. So I think that's probably what I'm disappointed about. Not at all disappointed that Ajax dies. He's a formidable force. And we've just crossed one other name off of the list. So go Team Republic, but down my theories, I guess. But I don't know, that was a whole bunch of fun, that fight scene. It was fun to see Voldia come back in, and we got to get another glimpse. I want to see the stories of the Rat Wars. I want to read about the Rat Wars. I think that would be a whole lot of fun. But we got another little tidbit there, another little insight into what the Rat Wars would have been like, as we had Mustang having that flashback as she communicated what Darrow said about the Rat Wars. That was a fun little powerful scene, and having Voldia come back into the fight from there. It was good. We needed some more good fighters on Team Republic, and we've got one. We say goodbye to Alexander and we get Voldia back. It's not a fair trade. That is not a fair trade. Anyway, okay. Moving away from the outright kinetic Mustang, Screwface, and Insecurities. That's what I've titled this one. It got real dusty in my reading chair when Mustang embraced Screwface. Dust was flying around the room. My sinuses were playing up. Some rain suddenly started falling on the inside, and I had water all over my face. That got me right in the feels. We've all got a mate who has been Screwface in this example, in this situation. The one that doesn't ever feel like they belong. That you bestow so many words of affirmation and love onto them, but they just never feel like they belong. They're insecure. They're self-deprecating. They just never hit the I believe button. I've had friends like this, and Screwface encapsulated all of them in that moment where you were like, oh, if I could just have you believe that you are loved and were purposefully made, then perhaps all would be right in the world. You would have the level of confidence where you could look yourself in the face and be proud of what you see. We've all got these mates, and Screwface was that for everyone. So it got real dusty in my reading room. That one got me in the feels. Another fun thing that we had in this is with Mustang again, Mustang's source. Who is Mustang's source? As this whole section was unfolding, I had a bit of a running list going. I had names all over this list. I was like, hey, no one's off limits. Who could this be? Atlas was on my list because he is an enigma and there is mystery still all around Atlas. So he was on my list. I'm like, could he be the source? Is he a turncoat? That would be fun. I was like, Lady Bellona, she has spent a lot of time with the Republic when she came in Iron Gold and did that whole piece there. But that's really unlikely. It's more likely Atlas than it is Lady Bellona. Who else did I have there? I was like, Crown of Thorns. Mustang was going to, with the psycho spikes injected into this dude's head, is he now undercover and doing that? Is there a pink getting around that is the source here? But then the answer came to us with that quote that I read at the top of this section. Who died alongside Ajax? It was Cicero, Lysander's right-hand man. But 15 pages later, who is standing at Lysander's bedside after he has been poisoned by Atalantia? It's a bit awkward, by the way, to be poisoned by your fiancé. But who was it? It was Cicero. And when I first read this, I was like, whoa, is this like one of the biggest blunders that I've ever seen from an author? You can't kill someone and then have them reappear 20 pages later without any explanation at all. And then I was like, of course. Mickey, my boy Mickey, this was that theory that I was going for. Mickey is going to be responsible for a Republic-themed twist. We have Cicero, or at least we have someone that's on the Republic team now carved to look like Cicero sitting beside Lysander. I like this. I don't know who it is. I'm running out of people. Like Pebble or Clown, something like, Clown could be here. Screwface has obviously proven that he can go deep cover, but it's not him in this instance. It's got to be a Howler, doesn't it? I'm running out of Howlers. We have killed off a lot of Howlers. I don't know who it is, but this is our source. This is what becomes clear to me now, is that, and I like this. Finally, we get the upper edge here a little bit, where we've got Lysander's right-hand man, Cicero, is actually undercover for the Republic. I like it. So this is good. I thought Brown kicked one of the worst own goals that I've ever seen from an author. And then I was like, don't be silly, Nick. Just engage your brain. You can figure this out. And I figured it out. Sorry, Brown, for ever doubting you. I'll never do that again. Okay. Made a mistake. You guys can barely see me. I've just gone back and I'm like, why is this Cicero piece not come back up yet? Okay, yeah, I made a mistake. I missed the single sentence
for a votum. Okay, I didn't quite appreciate that Cicero was alive. He was on a leash. That doesn't mean that he's dead. Whoops. And yeah, then in the parlay, they traded for a votum. That was silly of me. I got all excited. I thought I identified something. Thought I knew who the source was. Don't know who the source is. All we've got to go on now is that Mustang made the comment to Kwisatz that it's as bad as what you think. He's as wicked as what you could be. I thought I had understood what Mickey had been doing. All right. Mickey's still out there. Don't have any good leads on what Mickey's been doing. Just means the source, it could still be Cicero for what it's worth. If it's not Cicero, it could be Apollonius. The Abomination has also been wildly quiet throughout this whole thing. That's as bad as what it could get. The Abomination is the source, not Cicero. I got that wrong. I too can make mistakes. That's okay. I don't know if I've ever made a bigger mistake as that one, though. Just completely missed someone being dead, assumed the author made a mistake, and then assumed, no, you haven't made a mistake. It's just part of the plot. How silly of me. Until next time, ciao. Now, Red God. Let's get to why the next book is entitled Red God. We learn a lot about what the parasite that's been sticking on Lyria's brain is all about in this section. I can state that if the integration is a success, you'll be able to control sentinels, but also your brain's efficiency will be maximized. Your reflexes will be better than a gold's. Your aging will slow. You will jump higher and run faster. Control your metabolism, dopamine, and adrenaline. You will sleep on command, integrate with computer systems, and access information faster than you can blink. In short, you will achieve near mortal omniscience. The parasite in Darrow's hands is essentially all of the rings of power and the Infinity Stones in one. Forget the Aragorn comparison, maybe that's going to be Sevro's lot. Darrow is about to do his best Ender Wiggins impersonation from Ender's Game. He is going to control every single sentinel, every single ship that's available in Red God and put an end to this conflict. But unlike Ender, where he was actually thought he was in a simulation, Darrow will know what he's doing. Can he do it? This will be the interesting one. Is he capable of like neuron mass genocide to achieve his outcomes? I'm not sure. This will be interesting. When we heard Matteo talking to Lyria, hands up if you weren't already picturing Darrow with that type of weapon. That'll be amazing. And then to see Lyria be like, no, I don't want it. Not interested. Let me just go save Liam. I need to be able to remember them. I need to be able to communicate to him. Okay. Do you reckon Darrow is going to be that savage to sever his memories of, well, he's been recording himself the entire way through. I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to sever all of his memories, make the decisions that he needs to in Red God, but there'll be a happy ending at the end of it because he's been recording his life's message the entire way through. Yeah, here we go. That's where Red God's going to go. I'm super interested. Will Darrow go full Kwisatz Haderach? I think he will. Let's go find out. I've just finished part 2, about to crack on to part 3. That was a lot of kinetic energy there. I think we're going to have to slow down again. We're going to have to regroup a little bit here before we go full kinetic again. So let's see how long that takes. But the Kwisatz Haderach, I feel that's a Red God storyline, but I want to see where it comes into play from here. Until next time, ciao. All right, BookTube, we're back for another update. I'm 380 pages in. I'm past halfway. Things are getting pretty fun. We're getting some twists and turns. Volsing Far has just destroyed the Rim fleet. Lysander has been poisoned and is now a prisoner of Atlas. Diomedes is being tortured by Sevro, and my Red God theory lasted a total of 6 pages. But in this update, I want to talk about the most intriguing, the most mysterious character in this second trilogy, Atlas Au Raa, the Fear Knight. Atlas has conclusively proven that he is the dominant piece on the board. He is the dark squared bishop in the open Sicilian when playing for black. He is just taking control, wreaking havoc along that long diagonal. Now all we have to do is figure out who he is fighting for and why. So let's look at the things that we know. We know that Atlas was born as a Rim Gold. He was part of the royal family for the Rim, but at age 10, he was given as a political slave to the court to live under Octavia. And we also know that Octavia then sent him out to the Kuiper Belt to hunt down the Ascomani for potentially 2 different reasons. One, for his indiscretions, as Xenophon described, or for the second reason, if you believe Kilindora, the Love Knight, is because he was too close to Lysander's parents. We also know that Volsung Far is considered one of his best Gorgons, as was Xenophon. This is the puppeteer pulling all the strings. So those are the things that we know. Now on to some of the assumptions. Now we know that Octavia used this mind control chair or something similar on Lysander, such that he would eventually forget his parents. Now I assume that Octavia used the exact same mind control chair on a young Atlas, and therefore he will now be completely indoctrinated in the core way of life and will have turned his back entirely on the rim. That's an assumption that I have. This is not a double cross, backstab, whatever. He has completely turned his back on the rim. So we assume that he is fully indoctrinated in the society's values. We assume that Volsung Far is his puppet, and therefore he is in charge of the Askamani and Obsidian fleet. With those things that we know and those things that I am assuming, now let's come and apply this to our current situation and try and figure out what this dude's motivations are, because we don't yet know. So with Volsung Far attacking the fleet, it is clear and obvious as a puppet of Atlas, it means Atlas is attacking the rim. Why? What are his motivations? What is his higher level game that he is playing? He was indoctrinated in the core way of life, but he was then equally sent on a suicide mission with the intent that he would die out to the Kuiper Belt. Yet now he's back fighting for Atalantia. Yet on the other side of that coin, we see him have these moments where he speaks really softly and genuinely and in a caring way to both Lysander and Diomedes. Is he a man with no allegiances? Is he an army of one? In which case, this is another piece on the board entirely. He's not fighting for Atalantia. He's not fighting for Lysander. That works, except then why does he have these soft moments with Lysander and Diomedes? Like Octavia and his, like, two parts of his life, and he has these soft moments for them. Again, it's a walking contradiction. It doesn't seem to make sense. Obviously, where we're up to right now is Lysander's about to have a decision to make. Is he going to align himself with Atlas and whatever his motivations are, which I think are probably abhorrent and probably similar to what I think Atlas has been well and truly indoctrinated into be a Octavia clone. Like, he is all out on the society, and he is going to be as he has proven that he's ruthless. He puts heads on spikes, right? Like, we've seen that all over. So perhaps I think he's going to be that ruthless, which is obviously not what Lysander wants to stand for. He's like, my grandmother lost her way. We need to skip back a generation there to be like Selenius. We need to be these iron golds. Whereas I think the moment with Alexander was a line in the sand for Lysander. And so I think he's going to end up aligning himself with Atlas and end up being that really ruthless person that he really doesn't want to be. Lysander's going to end up being the exact thing that he hates. That's where I'm going with this one. Still trying to figure out exactly what's behind the curtains here for Atlas. We haven't got it all figured out yet. The last one I want to talk about is, I reckon Pierce Brown's just trolling me now. Why would Pierce Brown allow us to go complete visuals on Darrow becoming the Kwisatz Haderach, only to then kill the parasite 5 pages later? Oh, it was frustrating. I was so confident. I was like, I see where this is going. This is going to be awesome. Having said that, I'm holding out hope. According to the conversation with Matteo, 6 of these things were released, and so there's still 5 left. Just because we killed one doesn't mean Darrow doesn't get to find one of the other 5, but a divine intervention so he can become the Red God and rain hate and discontent on all of his enemies using his sentinels. I don't know, that was disappointing. It was disappointing to see Lyria destroy that, but that's okay. We'll talk more about Lyria. I think she's still going to have a role to play. She's finding that courage, that little bit of confidence that she didn't have. So we'll see where that unfolds. All right, I'm going to go and find out if Lysander is an absolute little turd and follows in the footsteps of Octavia despite him not wanting to, or if he can actually encapsulate everything that Selenius stood for and be that iron gold that he says that he wants to do, but he's not going to. We already know he's not going to follow through. There was that comment from Cassius, just because he says that he doesn't want to destroy all these people doesn't mean that that's what he'll actually do. So I think that was a foretelling of exactly the type of character that Lysander is. Let's go find out conclusively. I'm enjoying this. I'm actually really enjoying this. This is a really enjoyable book. Very different to Golden Sun. It's more Morning Star than anything, and I'm really enjoying this because the different points of view. This is a better book than what Morning Star is. I'm really enjoying this. All right. Until next time. Ciao. What do you get when you combine Homer's Trojan horse with Jonah spending 3 nights in the belly of a whale? You get Darrow extricating himself out of the belly of a Leviathan.
How epic was that? Oh, g'day, BookTube. I've just finished part 3. I'm 577 pages in. And that last section was epic. That was so much fun. Can you just imagine the visuals of Darrow cutting himself free and being like, Volthing far. I challenge you to I don't know what the word is, the Guthvar. It's not Guthvar, that's a word from another book that I've read. That was so much fun. This last section was so much fun. Last time I spoke to you, Lysander was still a captive of Atlas, and Sevro was plucking the teeth out of Diomedes and then electrocuting the nerve roots from there. We've had so much fun since then. What we've had probably what is probably peak Cassius in terms of his banter. We witnessed the greatest single one-on-one duel that has been ever written by Pierce Brown in his Red Rising universe. And yes, I'm even including the gala scene from Golden Sun, in which Darrow took the razor arm of the Morning Knight. And Lyria, beautiful, small, timid Lyria. Timid, that's not the right word. Beautiful, small Lyria proved that even at 4 foot tall, you can still have and show just as much courage as an 8 foot peerless Scard. This last section was so much fun. Last time I spoke to you, I basically talked all about Atlas and what I thought his motivations were. So let's start there. Lysander, I value your hesitancy, Atlas says, more than you know. If it is any consolation, I do not do this for glory or my own satisfaction. I do this because I believe in the society enough to be the tool it requires. I am a monster because a monster is needed. As I read that the first time, I was like, you know what, Atlas? Pierce Brown, I don't believe you. I found it difficult to believe that Atlas is just a tried and true society diehard, that he's the card-carrying society member. But then I thought about it for a bit, and I'm like, no, Atlas isn't. Atlas isn't. He is merely a product of Octavia. And this comes back to my theory around one of the assumptions that I made in the previous section. We know that Octavia had this mind control chair, such that she was able to make Lysander forget his parents. And I believed that Atlas was a victim of the same chair. So I think what we're seeing out of Atlas here is merely an extension of Octavia. I think we will get our reveal at some point in time where we will be able to crack open his skull, whatever it's going to look like, and we're going to discover that, no, this isn't Atlas in his agency and exercising free will. And so Atlas is brutal. He is efficient. He is competent. But ultimately, I believe him to be nothing more now than an Octavian puppet. Now, let's talk about Darrow's leadership. Not something that everyone talks about all that much. Well, actually, I've got no idea. I talk about Darrow's leadership a heck of a lot. Often, one of the leader's greatest strengths is their emotional intelligence. Rarely, if ever, will you have an entire team of which all members respond to the same style of leadership, the same delivery, the same tone, the same patterns of speech even. People are individuals and they will respond to different styles of leader. Now, Darrow has also demonstrated multiple times in this book that he can alter his style, change his delivery depending on the recipient. We saw the example, the real blunt communication style. There's the airlock Sevro, to snap him out of it and give him what he needed. That would not work for so many others. Could you imagine Darrow giving that type of ultimatum to Mustang? Like, no, he would just get slacked and he would be living in the doghouse for almost the rest of eternity. But that's what Sevro needed. He was able to show real empathy and love, make Cassius feel like he is seen, respected, loved, wanted, had a home. He became that brother and that fatherly figure that Cassius really needed. And what was the outcome? Cassius got off the drink, or at least enough got off the drink, and was able to feel like he belonged. And then we see Darrow change his approach again and really empower Volga to give her the confidence that she didn't have in herself. All of these three things required a different style of leader. A different leader was required in all of these, and Darrow showed amazing emotional intelligence to understand his people and to change his approach and change his style of leadership. That was required for each of them. I really enjoyed it. I've said in the past that Lysander has been really quite formidable, but it's because of the emotional intelligence that he showed and how he was able to understand what motivates people, what drives people. But he was twisting that and he was using that for his own selfish desires, not for the ethical pursuit of the overall mission, or at least that's my take on it. Because there was one thing that all of these different situations, whilst they were different in their delivery techniques, the one thing that was common throughout all of these is the word trust. Darrow was able to spread his vision. He was able to communicate his vision effectively, but then he gave them space. He stepped back and actually let them make their own decision. Leadership is often defined as the process of influencing others to gain their willing consent in the ethical pursuit of a mission. Without willing consent, it's little more than manipulation. And that's where I think we see a difference between Darrow and Lysander. And maybe that's my own bias because I'm in line with what Darrow's trying to achieve. But if you don't have that ethical pursuit, all you're really doing is manipulating, or you're exerting your own authority. And now what do you think happens as soon as you're not there to control or micromanage a situation or slap people back into line? Is you're right, like they're going to exit stage left. And so that's the difference between a leader and merely someone exerting their own authority. And so I've been really impressed in the way that Brown has really developed Darrow's role. We've seen him in the past show that leadership style, being King Leonidas leading from the front. And now we see him working in the backgrounds, taking advantage of his full team, communicating with them, getting down on their level when needed to get the best out of each member of his team. I've really enjoyed that. Like, we all know that I narrow down too much onto individual things and look for deeper meanings when they're not there. But I think this was very intentional. We have now seen Darrow become a formidable leader, and I really like it. Now, the other thing that I've really enjoyed is beautiful little Lyria's courage. Do you think this is a game? Are you not afraid? Look what my guards have done. She walks to the table and retrieves the sacks. She returns and empties them. The heads of Gudmund and Fenrir fall into my lap. Nauseous and sick, I feel stubborn strength swell within. Are you afraid now, Lyria? I've been afraid since I can remember, but I ain't giving up. Iron Gold introduced us to a scared and bitter Low Red who was drowning in her own newfound freedom. She represented all of us in that world. We like to think that we're the peerless guard, but we're not, right? We're downstream from the decision makers, trying our hardest to have agency, despite not really being in control of our situation. Now, when Lyria was exposed to that, she became bitter. She had vicious words to say, and she ultimately became really selfish. Outside of that one situation with Kwisatz and the river, she very much chose her own goals, her own path, as a result of the fear that she had in that situation. That in Dark Age, we saw her gain a whole bunch of confidence, not because of her own self and the strength of her own character, but because she had the parasite giving her exceptional martial abilities, and she found confidence in that. We saw her make more and more selfless decisions, though. Yet in Lightbringer, free from the parasite, we have Lyria back to that Camp 121 self in terms of physical abilities, yet she chooses a very different path. Where she chose to be selfish in the past, she's infinitely selfless right now, choosing a higher cause over our own safety, her own well-being, and her own desires. Like we know she just wants to get back to Liam, right? And communicate to him the stories of her family and all of that. And yet she is willingly going in and being like, no, Volga, I believe in you. This is not who you are as a person. I believe more for you. Come with me on that journey. If you're not willing, then I'm going to call you out on that bluff and stay by your side and see if I can get you to the finish line at some point in time here. Amazing moral courage and amazing physical courage in the face of someone who has just ripped the hearts out of 12 different people or whatever it is whilst they were still beating. I don't think I would have that level of courage. Or maybe I would just be a fait accompli, like I'm about to die. May as well go with the chin up rather than like a squealing mess on the ground. But I don't know. I like to think that's how I would respond. But we all know we're probably not those people. We're the Low Reds. We're not the peerless guard. But I've really enjoyed Lyria's growth arc, that the story arc that she's come on from that bitter and scared young girl in Camp 121 to now just showing such moral and physical courage. Like, I've really enjoyed Lyria's storyline here. So well done, Truffle Pig. I've enjoyed your storyline. Now let's jump into Diomedes. Brown knows that we're hopeless, right? We all want to just rack and stack. Who are the best Razor Masters in this sphere? And he's doing nothing but giving us more ammunition for that fight. What a waste of talent. Honestly, it's like a bad joke. We might be the 3 best Razor Masters to share a room in the last 60 years. And it's a prison. And not one of us was taken in a straight fight. Diomedes and I look at each other, each wondering about the other's claim to the title of Master. Oh, that's right. You two haven't seen each other fight. Cassius, I say. He perks up. Yes? Shut up, Diomedes says. Here we get to see some of that beautiful dialogue between Darrow and Cassius that has been such a strength over the last 200 pages. It's been really enjoyable watching these two go back and forth, like little bittering little housewives or something. It's been really enjoyable. And we get to see and we just get to visualize and rack and stack who's the best. Who would win in this fight?
Ultimately, we don't want to see Darrow fight Cassius anymore, nor do we want to see Darrow fight Diomedes. However, it gives me something to think about. And what happens after this gives me a lot to think about the number 1 seed. And for what it's worth here, I am absolutely taking my victory lap when it comes to my prediction around Diomedes. I said right from ages ago that he would end up fighting for the Republic. Now, I had a different theory as to why it would get there, and it's sort of semi-true, but ultimately not the final reason for it. I did say that he was going to be in love with Ori, the pink. Now, I don't know if he is, but she is definitely in love with him. So I got one aspect of that correct. And I do believe that Diomedes will end up fighting long-term for the Republic. So my final answer was right. Just all the working as we got along was not quite as accurate. Like, do I still get full marks if my final answer is correct, even though like 12 out of my 16 lines of working out is wrong? I don't know. Anyone a math teacher? Tell me, are you giving full marks to the person who gets the final answer despite having a myriad of mistakes along the way? Either way, I think I said, hear me now, point me later. I'll take it. Diomedes will fight for the Republic. I did say he'll fight for low colours. Yeah, I guess he kind of is. I don't know. I like Diomedes, the honor-bound Ra, and he's going to be fighting for the good guys. I hope there's no other twists and turns to come in that one. I trust that there's not. I'm taking a victory lap. Thank you, Diomedes. Now let's finish this little update on a real high note. How good was the battle scene between Darrow and Volsing? Oh, it was amazing. I picked up on it real early. There was a moment where we got to see that the Reds, or whoever it was that were coming out to cut off the different pieces of the Leviathan after it was already dead. And he came back to it again. Brown came back to it again. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, you've got me. Thank you very much. Darrow's inside. I actually thought it was Sevro initially, just going to be exclusively Sevro, because that's Sevro's thing, right? To hide in the bellies of dead animals. But I was like, no, this is going to be Darrow. It was always going to be all of them together. And geez, it was fun. Like, how cool were the visuals? And what we got after that was the single best fight scene that we have had, this best one-on-one fight scene. Prior to this point in time, it was undoubtedly the gala scene in which Darrow first took Cassius's arm. And the reason why that was so good, so strong of a scene, was because of the way in which it was described. It was so easy to visualize all of the combat for the first time in that one. And I think Brown nailed it again with Volsing versus Darrow. Was so visual. I could see them moving. Darrow entered like full-on Neo phase. He entered a flow state. If you want to read more about flow state, there are books all about this one. And it was terrific. He then invented, he iterated on the Willow Way, and he's invented his own form of razorcraft, or whatever the word that we want to talk about there. And it's just so good. I no longer believe that Apollonius has the skill to defeat Darrow. Darrow must be now on the 1 seed. I'm not sure there are 2 people that could defeat Darrow at this point. That's probably not true. Diomedes might be right there as well. There's a reason why Diomedes is not going to fight Darrow, so that we are forever have to go, I wonder who would win. But no, geez, it was fun. Like, Volsing is undoubtedly like probably top 6 or 7 in terms of overall fighters. He was the best Gorgon that Atlas ever had. And geez, it was fun. So enjoyable. I'm happy to reread that again. I don't want to read on any further. I'm scared about what's to come. I might just go and reread this fight scene. Jeez, it was fun. Just the way in which he then just started picking off each of the individual spikes to just like neuter him or something. It was, And I loved that Volsing became an absolute coward in the end. That was really enjoyable. God, I loved this section. That was so much fun. Confess! Until next time, ciao. I am Cassius Bellona, son of Tiberius, son of Julia, brother of Darrow, morning knight of the Solar Republic, and my honour remains. First Alexander, and now Cassius. This piece of shit best not kill Sevro.
The writing was on the wall, wasn't it? I said right at the start that Sevro, Cassius, Victra, or Mustang, one of our key four, would not make it through. And the writing was on the wall. How good was Cassius's banter? His cavalier attitude, his just unwillingness to adhere to like norms of war, where you make calculated decisions. Even Mustang, we saw in the retreat, make calculated decisions, sacrificing the weak to save the strong, just like her father did, she said. Sevro's brutal, will do whatever he needs to do. Darrow, we've seen him be ruthless. Even Diomedes like outright lied just now. But not Cassius Bologna. Not our Bologna, Cassius Bologna. Easily the favourite character, right? Cassius. From a plucky, arrogant individual to one who is still arrogant. He's confident. Confident and arrogance often get confused. Mind you, if I was 7 foot and had a jawline that would turn every head, I'd probably get a little arrogant too. Oh, 17B. It was a roller coaster of a chapter. He killed Atlas. Flavinius as well. You used me for that, for this, he asks. To cut your strings and pin it all on me, the betrayer. Yes, it was a line in the sand moment. God, I don't like Lysander. I'm really looking forward to Darrow killing him. That sucks. Ciao. Cassius, don't, I warn. I must. Then he rushes forward. The blade falls out of his hands. I catch him and carry him to the ground, desperate for one last word from him. But Cassius is already dead. And he is smiling. The rest of the world vanishes. I see a black door, a hand pushing it. A chair waits for me between shafts of light. On that chair, I see a boy, whose feet don't touch the ground. In his hands, he holds a candle, and with a single breath, he blows it out. And with it go all the shafts of light. G'day, BookTube. I have done it. I've just finished. That's page 678. To be honest, still feeling pretty somber. I'm still pretty bummed about how Cassius has bowed out. I adored Cassius. His character arc was really believable. It was really, really enjoyable. He started off as this arrogant individual who was the epitome of selfishness and perfectionism. He was the golden son, right? All the way back in Red Rising. And then we watched him become bitter and angry and wrathful. A really terrific antagonist who we quite loved to hate because of his competence and what we saw in him. And then we watched him redeem himself to ultimately become one of the most selfless individuals in the whole universe. There was a moment as he was talking to Lysander just before the quote that I've just read, where he says to Lysander, hey, give me that bioweapon and then I will take a Night Raptor and I'll fly it straight to the face of Jupiter. And I believe it. I believe that is the person who Cassius ultimately became, this really selfless individual who was willing to do whatever it took to fight for someone else. He was willing to die 5 times over every day that he was alive to save somebody. Didn't matter who it was and what their role was. It became a bit silly in the end, how willing he was to sacrifice himself for someone else. But that's an endearing quality. It's something that you can easily root for and get behind. So I'm pretty bummed. I said at the start of this that I anticipated that the characters that we love were going to continue to operate in this really selfless and honor-driven way. And they were going to consistently fall victim to people like Lysander because they were going to continue to show them mercy and believe that they can still change everyone. Right up until this last minute, Cassius still believed that he could change Lysander. But ultimately, Cassius became a really, really likable character. The way that he continued to tell everyone about the size of the hammer that struck him. The fact that he didn't have a single scratch on his armor, whereas everybody else had been like stabbed 5 times over. The way that he really leaned into the chiseled jawline piece. But most of all, the way that he nurtured Lyria. He absolutely got stuck into her about the truffle pig call sign, as all good teammates should. You can't go and give yourself a call sign and your own nickname and think you can get away with it. But the way that he really took ownership over her and gave her the call sign of Eaglet 1. It was a beautiful moment, and you could tell, like the writing was on the wall as we were leading up to this, that Cassius was not going to be with us at the end. I said it was going to be one of our big 4 that wasn't going to make it through, and given where we were, Sevro has such a key role to play as the leader of the Daughters of Ares, and so it was always going to be Cassius. And so even though I knew it was coming for a solid 50 to 100 pages, it was really gut-wrenching, really disappointing. Enough about this. Like let's pick it up a little bit, because hot off the press, Lightbringer is my favorite book that Pierce Brown has written. Prior to this point in time, I was probably umming and ahhing whether or not Golden Sun or Dark Age was my favorite, but I am very confident that Lightbringer now tops that list. And if I had to be really critical, I would say Dark Age comes in second, and then Golden Sun now in third place, which is a great place to be. The last 2 books that I've read have been the most enjoyable books that I've read from Pierce Brown. This has been such an enjoyable read. The themes of brotherhood, the relationship that we got between Sevro, Cassius, and Darrow, that mateship, that brotherhood, it felt believable. I wanted to be a part of it. I could understand why Lyria stowed away. Why wouldn't you want to be a part of that? I would go and face Volsing as well if it meant that I got to hang with these 3 guys. I loved the way that Darrow became this level 5 leader. We saw that he could be King Leonidas and lead from the front, and now we watched him take on a different role and be subservient to Mustang and the mission that she was fighting for, and be like, whatever you need, my sovereign, I will do it for you, no matter what that role is, no matter how much it hurts me, I will do it. He spent all these softer moments really caring for people and lifting people up. He knows that he can't be King Leonidas and achieve everything by himself. He needs the people around him. And I loved watching Darrow go on this development piece, become a little bit more mature, and he found faith along the way, or a version of it, I guess. But ultimately, it was the way in which he started caring for people and caring about himself less. It's this selflessness piece that really started coming through in Cassius and Darrow in particular, and that was really enjoyable. That was a lot of fun. Pierce Brown is also an absolute masterful storyteller when it comes to writing combat scenes. These are so much fun. Like you love when Darrow's brooding and he's having these quiet moments, but when it gets kinetic, like, man, does it get fun. It's so easy to visualize. I can picture Mustang and Holiday working their way through the corridors trying to evade Apollonius. I can hear the guttural screams from those caught by Valdir's men in a darkened tunnel. And I can picture every single swing of a razor, every clang, 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 as Darrow took on Volsting in the single greatest duel that Pierce Brown has ever penned. That clang, 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 can you hear it? That is the sound of Pierce Brown's face being carved or etched into the Mount Rushmore of sci-fi authors, right next to Frank Herbert. That's how good Pierce Brown has become. But it's not all just about our protagonists, our main characters, the good guys. The evil guys, the antagonists, are really, really despicable. Atlas had this level of mystery about him and this intrigue, and I still don't feel like I have all the understanding there. He was really aptly named the Fear Knight. And I just love that Cassius Bellona, the man who killed fear. So enjoyable. That's worth a tattoo. Not that I'm the tattoo-wearing type. If I was Ragnar, I might get another tattoo with that quoted on me somewhere. But as far as villains go, they were really enjoyable, easy to root against. And Lysander's character development has been really, really well done. Actually, scratch that. Like, there is nothing positive that I want to say about this pixie bitch. Like, screw Lysander. I am the El Presidente on the Fruck Lysander bandwagon. I'm a card-carrying capitalist when it comes to hating Lysander. If I could drop cusses as crisp as what Stuart Crank would, I would continue to cuss this dude out right now.
She is their captive. Slave 2. Those motherfuckers.
Screw this guy. First Alexander, and now Cassius. It's so frustrating. If he takes out freaking Sevro from here as well, don't you dare do this, Pierce Brown. Do not do that. That would be oh, he's going to do it, isn't he? But either way, like, you can see the level of hate that we have is visceral. This dude is a pixie and we hate him, but we love to hate him. He's so easy to hate. That's good writing, right? But what I love about Lightbringer is it also jumped into some of those dark undertones that we saw through Dark Age. We saw good guys just outright kind of give up. Screwface was at his wit's end. He was like, done, I'm tapping out. He gave this, I'll come with you, Darrow. Someone's got to look out for you. But we know it was tokenistic. Screwface had absolutely tapped out. And Sevro's done. He's like, bro, I can't keep doing this. I just want to go home to my wife and my kids. I'm done, dude. I can't keep up. And Darrow, he loved him for it. Like that is love. That is excellent leadership and just terrific friendship and terrific mateship. I felt your frustration, Sevro. Actually, Sevro was an interesting character throughout this book. There was a long time where I'm like, Sevro just doesn't feel right. He's just not the same level of loyalty that we've come to understand and accept from Sevro. And I thought there was some Psycho Spike stuff going on, and I was, I'm not looking forward to this. Sevro's going to be the one that's going to sell out Darrow or kill Cassius or kill Diomedes. Something was going to happen there, and I thought Sevro was going to be the one being controlled by Psycho Spikes, and it didn't play out. And I think we're past that. I think we're okay. I'm pretty sure we're okay here. I think there is something else that's still lying dormant within one of our characters, but I don't think it's the Psycho Spikes and Sevro. More on that other one later when I get to my theories. No, Sevro was a very different character throughout this. You found yourself for a little while getting pretty frustrated with him. I mean, like, come on, dude, time to get on board here. You got to get on the path. We're all on a journey here. We're on the path to the Veil or whatever it is. I haven't quite bought the Kool-Aid as much as what Darrow did, but Sevro just wasn't buying into it as well. Sevro gave up. He absolutely gave up. And I think fair enough. There's only so much you can ask from people. We're not all Darrow, right? Like, there's only so much that you can continue, so many sacrifices you can continue to ask for someone before they tap out. And we saw Sevro tap out. He went from extreme loyalty to be, I'm done, dude. I've had enough. But Darrow stood by him, and that was fun to watch. I'll be honest, this is a 5-star S-tier quality book. This is as good as sci-fi gets, and it's because it's just leveraging all the character development that we've had before this, and that's okay. You don't read this as a standalone and think it's going to be the greatest book ever. In the context of the 5 that come before it, though, it's got to be my favorite book of all time right at this point in time. And a bit of recency bias, but that's okay. I mean, the multi-POV is working for me. Brown has outright fixed his pacing issues. It absolutely works. I don't mind that I went 300 pages without really hearing from Mustang directly. Like, that's okay. I don't feel like I lost anything there because the pacing was so good. The stakes are incredibly high. Like, are we going to see mass genocide on behalf of Lysander here? I don't know, but I'm here for it. I want to see how it goes. I want to see Darrow and Volga now coming together and fighting for this. The stakes are constantly high, and we love our main characters to a degree that very few authors are able to achieve. Tolkien did it with Sam. Samwise Gamgee, we absolutely loved him more than we loved our own son and daughter, right? That's how much Tolkien got us to believe in him. And I think Brown has achieved it with Cassius. He achieved it with Cassius. I think he's achieved it with Sevro, with Mustang, and with Darrow. I'm not on the I hate Mustang bandwagon. She's exactly my kind of character. I have already confessed my love for her several times in the making of these books, in the making of these vlogs. So I think Brown has achieved what Tolkien did before him with Sam, and he's got us to love his characters. That is terrific craftsmanship. Now, let's look ahead to Red God. Let's give ourselves a chance to move on from Lightbringer and look ahead to Red God. I definitely will have my wish come true, and that Diomedes will be fighting alongside Darrow. I wanted Alexander and Cassius to be there, but Pierce Brown has told me that we can't have nice things. So at least I'm going to get the two of them. And I'm keen to see Diomedes live up to the hype.
We currently have him probably sitting in the top 2 or 3 in terms of ultimate fighters, like the toughest kid on the block. But a lot of it's based on reputation. There's that one quote, Diomedes moves, people begin to die. That was really great. That was a terrific single sentence. So there was that one scene when he got kinetic. Apart from that, it's kind of just based on vibes, like the aura that he's got. And we're putting a lot of faith in Cassius's opinion of the dude's capabilities. So I want to see Diomedes really earn the place that he has, probably sitting at number 3 right now for me in terms of ultimate fighter. I'm keen to see his position really set in stone, set in a breath of stone, perhaps. I want to see him earn his place in those top 3 fighters. We also have a huge amount, plenty of unresolved storylines. There's a lot to cover still in the last book. I did hear a random comment or an interview at some stage with Pierce Brown where he said he was up to page 1100 in his draft of Red God, and he didn't feel like he had found the soul of the book. Like 1100, I don't know how much he's going to leave on the cutting floor, but this was 670, whatever I called it. I think Dark Age was 757 or whatever it is. If he's going to push north of 1,000 ultimately in that finished product, I'm here for it, mate. Make it 2,000. I don't care. I enjoy reading what you're putting out, but there's plenty of storylines to still go through. I think much of Osgard's prophecy remains sort of unresolved, and I think I got precisely 0 of my predictions right with that one, so I'm not even going to embarrass myself and rehash those. You can laugh at me now. I made an absolute fool of myself there. I got basically none of them correct. Mustang's source is still unknown, but I've got some theories for that one. Mickey is still out there in the ether somewhere. I thought I understood that, but again, I just embarrassed myself and proved that I can't read good. So Mickey is still out there. I think there's still a reveal to come for Mickey. Rona is 100% not dead. Like, she is not dead. And I'm looking forward to her plummeting out of the sky at some point in time in a Drakenjager and just torching Lysander. I really want to see that. I want to see her with her railgun attached to her Drakenjager arms, just pummel round after round into Lysander and watch him become ink mist. That will be really enjoyable and worthy as well. Like a really good way for Lysander to die, given what he did and broke apart what we were rooting for with Pup 1 and Pup 2. I think Volga's heart being on the wrong side of her body, I think that will still have its moment in the sun. Another random storyline that was felt like it was sort of pushed to the side. I'm not quite sure how and why, but I think there's a reason for it, and it's the parasite. We still got that tidbit from Matteo that there were still 5 of these parasites left out there. But what I think here, and this is my first little theory, is I think that Matteo learned what he needed to learn from Lyria and understood that she was an honourable person. She was not Lysander, essentially, is what we discovered through his conversation with her, and that he did not remove the parasite figment from her brain. Like, yes, they did the Charlotte's Web operation on her, but I think it's still there. I think it's lying dormant. So I think we unfortunately will have to say goodbye to Lyria at some point in time. I think she will die, potentially in a self-sacrifice kind of way, in Darrow's arms. Parasite will come out into Darrow, becoming Red God, becoming Ender Wiggins, and destroying the fleet of absolutely everything, taking control of everyone, becoming Neo, feeling the Matrix around him, and just absolutely destroying dudes. So I think that could be somewhere where we go. We're going to see a lot of deaths in Red God. Thanks, Pierce Brown. We understand that, and I think Lyria is going to go potentially a self-sacrifice kind of way. The other storyline that was kind of just pushed aside for this entire book, and I'm okay with it because it wasn't my favorite, and that is the Abomination. Like, the dude just did not get a mention. I appreciate that he was stuck on Luna and Atalantia was doing her thing there, but the dude just outright did not get a mention. And this is where I think the role that he has played throughout this last book is that of Mustang's source. How and why, well, why I'm going to get to, but how I don't quite know, and that's okay. Maybe Mickey's involved. I don't think he is. This is where Brown's going to really continue to explore his nature versus nurture theme that he's exploring throughout this whole book. Mark 1 Adrius was a despicable human. We get this picture painted that he was always that way, but I think it was more about his nurturing, the way that he just needed the love of a father and just didn't get it, right? Just didn't get it. And so I think that's ultimately why he became the bitter and twisted human that he was. You see him be bitter and twisted. That's largely because he's been raised by Lilith, who is an absolute sociopath. We saw little moments where we feel like Mustang, like he respects and loves Mustang. I feel like we're going to get a slight little redemption here, and Like, I'm not ready and willing to forgive the Abomination, like, not at all. I still need you to die, dude, in this next book. But I think you are going to end up doing something right, proving that through the right type of nurture, by showing someone the love and respect that they need, he doesn't quite deserve it, that people need, that you're going to end up becoming a good person. Which is interesting because Lysander was nurtured by Cassius for 10 years and ultimately couldn't get there. But is that still as a result of Octavia's chair? I don't know. That's where there's lots of things. Circular arguments, not really making sense. But ultimately, I think the source, as clear as day, is that it was the Abomination. That is Mustang's source. You can see from that, I've barely touched the surface here. There's still plenty to play out in Red God. The Death Hat had a more subdued sort of role in this book. And I said that what we're going to lose in quantity, we're going to make up for in quality. And we got that with Cassius alone. I don't even need to talk about the others that died. Ajax dying was probably a pretty big death. However, Cassius, my boy. Okay, it's time to go and mark time for a bit and wait for Pierce Brown to finish writing Red God. Pierce, if you're watching this, I know you are. Peerless, scarred, hunting, mutated/carved hybrid wolves. That's what I want to see, dude. Let's lean into this. I want to see these hybrid animals hunting Lysander. Maybe that's just my story. Anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed my journey. Answer those questions that I've asked along the way. Those multi-quiz things. Let me know who's a pixie or who is a peerless scarred. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Lightbringer, single best book that Pierce Brown's ever written. Therefore, at this stage, the single best book that I have ever read. I loved this and I can't wait for Red God. I will probably do a reading vlog when it comes to Red God as well, so stick around for that one. Let me know in the comments if you like this. It's a lot of effort goes into these types of videos, and it does slow my reading journey down, but I'm here for the people. I'm a bit of a Cassius Bologna myself. I'm a man for the people. Stop before I become a chiseled jawline myself. Thanks very much, BookTube. Until next time, ciao.